What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla and a couple of tickers out there. I'm going to talk about some new news that just came out for Tesla that's very big and why Tesla's dipping during the pre-market so far. I'm also going to talk about the overall market and break down some other important factors. But before I do anything like this, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks plus a $50 cash reward. The offer ends in just 8 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, guys, so Tesla's not looking that great so far. It's currently at $228 a share, continuing to drop. And the question is, why is this happening? What news just came out? Well, the news has come out that Tesla's German plant has lowered its production target amid the slower output that has been reported, and it basically lowered its production target to about 4,350 a week in July and August after hitting 5,000 a week in March, and they plan on reducing it even further according to the current Business Insider report. This is based off internal documents and other sources, and we're basically seeing news suggesting that there's a real big possibility that they may lower their target once again. So right over here, you can see that they lowered their target for July and August to 870 cars per day. And once again, may end up continuing to be lowered as time goes on. And this is what's actually causing Tesla to slow down a bit. Is it because Tesla's a bad company? Not necessarily. What could be going on is the fact that they're in the current phase to expand and continue to scale. So in doing so, you may see moments where they have to cut production. They may have to slow down here and there to make the necessary adjustments. There could also be additional factors causing this from macroeconomic factors, but it's not really giving us too many reasons for this. This is some negative news for Tesla. This could cause some downside. In the past, they were talking about how they wanted to do 6,000 cars a week, and they're continuing to cut it. And if this keeps going on, I mean, it's just not great news for the time being. There may be a negative reaction from the share price. So we're going to be watching our support and resistance levels very carefully. Now, let's add on to this. When it comes to earnings, we have something huge coming. Kohl's should be announcing their earnings in just a few minutes. But then NVIDIA is coming out after the market closes. Make sure you're ready for this. This is going to be very big. In terms of data for the market, don't forget that before NVIDIA's earnings, we have some data coming out in the morning. We have the PMI report this morning coming out about 15 minutes after the market opens. Then 30 minutes after open, we have new home sales. So some data is going to be coming out. That's going to cause some volatility. And besides that, the market's basically just going to be waiting for NVIDIA. As far as retail goes, things haven't been so good for Dick's Sporting Goods and Macy's. They're dropping quite a bit after they slashed their guidance. And besides that, we're seeing new things coming out right here about a new labor deal for UPS and just a couple of other things. But nothing else too massive for the market, at least from this end. But now let's talk about the charts. How are things looking? Tesla's not looking that great. We had this big amount of selling that happened during the pre-market. This thing actually opened and pushed up, getting this gap up to about this $237 area, making a lower high. So this is showing us signs of a trend change, which you could be looking at. It really depends on how this thing ends up opening, of course. But now what we could basically do is we could take our extended line right here and then draw out, this resistance right about here, which is now going to act as a new potential channel on Tesla. We're going to have to see if we could draw out a bottom one. I'm not going to do that just yet. So, there's a possibility of doing something like this, but we have to see how it opens because it can always drop a lot lower. So I can't really draw this bottom one just yet until we see the pre-market. But for now, we have some resistance on Tesla that's going to slow it down. So there could be a downtrend that's being respected, especially because of this imbalance down here around this 221 area. So it's not looking that great from a technical standpoint, and that's because of some negative news. Now, when it comes to levels, if Tesla wants to make its way back up, you're going to be watching this 230 area as resistance that's very close to our 200 EMA, because we have something very important going on. There's a possible head and shoulders that could be developing, with this being a left shoulder right here, the head forming right here, and potentially, the right shoulder could be also forming. So if you get a back test of 230, we have to see if Tesla could break this or not. For Tesla to hold up, it needs to break and hold 230. It needs to try to get back up to test this resistance and break it, get above this trend line right here for this thing to change the trend. It has to get above 235 as well for us to turn bullish. So far, it's looking weaker. It's making lower highs and not looking that great. So watch for either a back test of the low 230s or a back test of about 230 flat. and see if Tesla ends up forming kind of like a right shoulder, then comes down after that. That's a real possibility. If that's the case, the next support is going to be 225. Then below that we have 225. I'm sorry, 221, very close to this imbalance. And then below that we have, I think we have an unfilled gap down here at 218 that could also be tested. So the move to watch for basically is this. Let me just draw this out for you so it's easier for you to see. Let me just find this tool. So basically, you're going to be watching, do we form a kind of like a right shoulder here, right? Because we have this area right here that could be like a left shoulder. Are we about to form like a right shoulder and then start sinking lower because of this negative news back down to this imbalance? Is that about to happen? Or is Tesla going to try, to go a little higher, maybe break above this to retest this trend line right here, which is going to be the next resistance in the very low 230s, and then reject off here? Or for us to turn bullish, right, we need to see Tesla basically break this resistance and get back above this trend line. This is what I was trying to say, and get back like this. This is looking very unlikely though, based off this trend. It's not looking like Tesla's going to do this green line or follow this trend. It looks more like one of these two is more likely. So I just want everyone to keep this in the back of your mind. Tesla could surprise us, but just to be safe, always be open-minded. Now, what else is going to dictate the market is, don't forget that in the first 15 and 30 minutes, we have PMI coming out, so expect some volatility. So get ready for some volatility for Tesla as well, and watch your levels. For NVIDIA, this thing is very tight, gapped up, and now it's coming down a bit. We're going to be watching, do we hold above 456? If that breaks, 450 to 452 is going to be our next support. If that zone breaks, it's going to come all the way down to 446, 442, and then potentially 436. If it breaks above 460, you're going to be watching this resistance at 465. If that breaks, then we have 470, 475, then this 480 to 483 resistance after that. So what looks more probable right now? It's kind of just trading sideways, kind of range bound. We're going to be watching which level breaks. Can we break and hold above 465? If it does that, it could push to 470 plus, or does it break below 450? If it does so, then it could start sinking. Right now, it's in the middle, going back and forth, so just watch it carefully as it's very tight. Looking at SPY real quick, not looking that great overall. It kind of gapped up and came down again. We're currently testing this trend line right here as support, right? This previous trend line right here. We're going to be watching, could we hold this and try to get a bounce to retest 440? If we break 440, you're going to be watching resistance at 440.6. If it manages to break the high we made from the pre-market, we could get a push up to 442. If we fail to break this and come down, you're going to be watching 437.5 as support. If that breaks, it could start sinking all the way down to 436.5 or lower levels than that. We're kind of like range bound right now. You can see the majority of this price action is kind of within this range. So it's not really doing much. So watch and see if we could hold above 440 or if we end up sinking below 437.5. That's going to dictate which way this thing goes. It might just trade kind of sideways for most of today in this range. It could see some high volatility in the morning thanks to the PMI report, but then see some sideways price action because of the facts that we're just waiting for NVIDIA's earnings. Now I'm just going to talk about a few others before I end this video. For the QQQ, same thing as SPY. It's kind of just range bound, going back and forth between supply and demand. We have a demand right here around this like 362 zone. We have supply all the way up here around this like 366 area. If it breaks 366, you're going to be watching for a push for 368 and potentially 370. If it breaks below 362, you're going to be watching it start sinking and form a potential head and shoulders and start coming all the way down to this imbalance down here around this 359 area. If we end up breaking below 360, and then 357.5 could come next. For now, it looks a little bit weaker. It looks a little bit more bearish to me from a technical standpoint as of right now. But all of this could change depending on NVIDIA's earnings. So just be open-minded and just watch which way it ends up breaking. Okay, it's going to be very, very important. Last but not least, our friend Aapl. How is Aapl stock looking? Well, just to be honest with you all, I'm not really too fond of this trend on Aapl. I basically drew this out yesterday. We have this, wedge that's forming on Aapl, a rising wedge, which is not a very, very great sign so far. Could this thing bounce and try to push back to like 178? Yes, it's currently at support, but if it starts breaking below this wedge and starts like sinking lower, you're going to be watching it basically hold below 177. If that happens, it's going to start sinking a lot lower. So that's going to be your like really important support for the time being. For now, we have a rising wedge, not looking the best. It may try to hold this for some time, but I'm going to be watching. Do we get a break below this thanks to NVIDIA? If that's the case, the market's going to start sinking. There is a chance of that happening looking at this with this gap down here on Aapl. So that may sink the market down with NVIDIA after its earnings. There's a risk of this, or it could be because of Jerome Powell. Who knows what's going to cause it? I want to be open-minded. I want to be honest with everyone. So watch all these levels. So with that said, guys, don't forget to watch support and resistance levels. Uh, right now, Tesla's not looking that strong with all this bad news coming out. So just be open minded. And with that said, the dollar is pumping a little bit, which is a bearish signal for the markets. But we have to wait and see if SPY, the QQQ, and these other tickers end up breaking their supports. They have to break below them for confirmation. So watch supports and do what you have to do. The dollar is still holding up, and we're going to see if the dollar can break 104 or not. It's currently sitting at resistance. And besides that, the market is still not looking that great. It's kind of like in the middle, but not that great so far, especially because of Tesla. So just be patient, watch your levels, see which way we break, and I will see you guys very soon for the next video. I thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day. Have fun trading. Take care. And I'll see you guys once again very soon. Thank you. Tesla to the moon, as the long term is very bright, and peace out.